Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, I am not quite sure if I'm going to be merging this video with another video or two other videos, because there are three videos of the same sort of coloration that I am doing in a sequence. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to merge them together or be standalone videos. It's to do with the 2023 presidential race and the people that are throwing their hearts into the ring to contest for the presidency. So their names coming up now, the usual suspects and some of the suspects that are a bit unusual. So these are unusual names now in these three sequences that I'm going to be bringing you. There's a video on Abba Kyari, who allegedly is throwing his heart into the ring. There's this video now that I'm about to introduce, and there's another video which is also on Sanusi. So these are all campaign materials coming out now. So I'll bring you this video. It will be either part of a video, so if you're hearing it as a follow-on of a video, then I've decided to match them together, or it could be a standalone video by itself. So with that guys, I bring you this 2023 presidency. Abba Kyari's campaign material surface online. So of course there are no surprises here. Abba Kyari, this is a guide, of course, that is Malam Buhari's man Friday, is the money man, the bag man for the regime, is the one that all the major contracts go through, and is the de facto effectively president of Nigeria. But now he wants to take the seat fully for himself come 2023. So again, the headline we're contending with: 2023 presidency, Abba Kyari's campaign material surfaces online. So let's now see now what Malam Buhari's man Friday is up to. Campaign materials of President Muhammadu Buhari's Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari, have surfaced online. The campaign shirts and face caps, already generating mixed reactions on social media, have the inscription "Sustainability 2023 towards sustaining the good policies and ideologies of President Muhammadu Buhari" boldly written on them. There have been rumors flying about suggesting that the Chief of Staff was warming up to take over from his boss in 2023. Sources said his ambition is the cause of major and obvious crisis at the presidency, as he, Kyari, allegedly sees some close allies to the president as a threat to his aspiration. Recall that the 2023 campaign vehicle of the throned emir of Kano, Mohammedu Sanusi, had emerged online earlier this week. So we'll go on to that story either in this video or in a subsequent video. The vehicle had the inscription "All Nigerian Youth Project 2023, Let's Save Nigeria." So this is now people now coming out now to stake their claim, or to put their heart into the ring to say, I am running. But this Abba Kyari, of course, is a very particular and a very peculiar one, because Abba Kyari is an unknown quantity within the Nigerian space. He did not have a name within the Nigerian space before the emergence of this Malam Buhari regime, and his name under the Nigerian space is really only as Malam Buhari's man Friday. He has no other currency, he has no other antecedents, and he has no other precedents within the Nigerian space that especially recalls with the average Nigerian outside of being Malam Buhari's man Friday. He has no constituency, he has no following. All he has is the monies that he has been making since 2015. But then of course that's a vast war chest, because of course the Malam Buhari regime is an extremely corrupt regime, and Abba Kyari, of course, is the bagman for that or for this regime. So now he's now wanting to now follow through for 2023 to carry on, but there are a lot of sticklers in his way. There are a lot of obstacles that he has to hurdle before he gets to sit on that seat. So one of the obstacles, of course, is what I've already described, that it has no base. The other obstacle, of course, is the general consensus within the Nigerian space is that power transits to the southern region. And the other thing that he has to contend with is there's a lot of resentment against this guy, because they feel, everybody within the Nigerian space, the vast majority of Nigerians feel that he charts the direction of the Malam Buhari regime. And the Malam Buhari regime, of course, has been an especially brutal regime for the Nigerian people, and it's been especially bad. It's one of the, in fact, it is singularly the worst regime that the Nigerian space has ever experienced. It's clueless on the economy. The war against insurgency has effectively been lost. The Fulani headsmen are ravaging and rampaging all over the place. The naira has collapsed. Everything is falling apart, and corruption is rampant. I mean, go to Abdullahi Ganduje, or what's that, the grass cutter, something Lawan, I can't remember his first name, the former number 3 secretary to the government or something, the one that Boss Mustafa replaced, the grass cutter that was purloining money allegedly is with the FCC. So there's a lot of corruption within this regime. We all know the narrative of this regime, and there's nothing within this regime going on now 5 years that can be pointed to as a tangible achievement of this regime. You can point to the Kaduna Abuja railway system as a tangible achievement of the Goodluck Jonathan regime. You can point to the inter-rail system within Abuja that goes from the airport into the city as a tangible achievement of the Goodluck Jonathan regime. You cannot point to any singular thing as a tangible achievement of the Malam Buhari regime. The only things that recall within the Malam Buhari regime is all these ideas of the images that would forever live as a memory of this regime is Yemi Osinbajo going around market squares handing out 10,000 naira to market women during elections, and them getting the money from Abacha and then saying they're handing it to poor people, and the money being disappeared, and they are borrowing all these loans, and we cannot see anything physical that we can point to as the impact of all of these loans. That so Abba Kyari's name is linked to all of this. So how he's going to hurdle all of those remains to be seen. But then, of course, you have to then say, how did they then manage to return Buhari in 2019? This is really where their strategy is, because their strategy is effectively to put their men in all the key positions in Nigeria and then just give those men the decisions that they want made, and those decisions then will be made. So Tanko Mohammed, of course, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, is an Abba Kyari man. Abubakar Malami, the Minister of Justice, is an Abba Kyari man. The Chief of Police is an Abba Kyari man. The Army Chief is an Abba Kyari man. The Secretary to the government is an Abba Kyari. Everybody of important strategic positioning within the Nigerian structure is an Abba Kyari man. And this was the strategy that they used to return Malam Buhari in 2019. So this strategy can recall again. So they can just make that decision to install Abba Kyari, and woe betide. You saw what happened with the Buhari thing now, when we had all this sort of mind-blowing elections in Borno State, where they said the people in Borno State that the voting in Borno State was up by 80% from 2015, and this is the place that was ravaged completely by insurgency. So this is what happened in Borno State. You saw then what happened in Imo, Anambra, etc. This is a region that especially detests Malam Buhari. So, and it's not only a region that especially detests Malam Buhari, it's also a restive region. It's a restive region relative to several other regions within the Nigerian space, especially the northern regions. There's no real act of insurgency going on within the eastern parts of Nigeria. So it's a restive region and an educated population and a politically aware population, and a population that were fervently opposed to Malam Buhari. So now in that eastern region where they were fervently opposed to Malam Buhari, and they were quite keen, because there was a lot of uptake of voters card especially, and all of those things within that region as well. So keen were they to say, at least let us try this to see if it works. Do you know what happened within that region? The voting generally across the eastern parts of Nigeria were set to be down by 30%. So a restive part of the country was reputed to be down. These are INEC figures. generally, of course, not every single state, but in generality, the eastern regions were said to be the voter counts from previous elections, 2015 and the one prior to that, were said to be down in percentage terms by between 20 to 30%. So the people that wanted you out, you are saying they didn't go out to vote, but the people that are your own people, we don't know what they want in Borno State, because nobody can go there to ask them what they want. But you say they are all up by 80%. How is it a possibility even that the voting in Borno State will be up by 80%? This is the sort of elections that we had, and then of course they then doubled down at the Supreme Court, where the Constitution says that quite explicitly that the president must have these sort of qualifications, and the Chief Justice then said, look, the guy is eminently qualified by virtue of him being around the army as a senior officer for this. No, that wasn't what the Constitution said, because the Constitution was quite explicit and it was quite categorical in his statement. But then of course his subjective interpretation was the final word, because of course the Supreme Court is the final word within the Nigerian system. So I'm just citing this example now just to let you know that these people can't just make that decision to put Abba Kyari in that space, and then they will legalize it with their own people, and that is fait accompli, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, because they control the police, they control all the structures of security within the country, and they control the law as well. So what exactly can you do if they install Abba Kyari and is putting his toes, is dipping his toes in the waters now with these campaign materials that is now circulating online? Conversations in the comment section, President Abba Kyari, but then of course we don't have to wait till 2023 to have President Abba Kyari. We've had President Abba Kyari since 2015 by my reckoning. So really him now running for elections, I think you are only allowed two terms within the Nigerian constitution, and President Abba Kyari has already served 2 terms, because of course I don't think anybody listening to this video is of the view that Malam Buhari is is just there, really, So we've had 2 terms, and this is something actually that people can challenge in court, just for the fun of it, to take a legal position to say that this guy cannot run because he has already been the president for 2 terms, and then let them come and then defend how Abba Kyari was not or has not been the president of Nigeria since 2015, because we'd like to hear the arguments in court to justify this guy running in 2023 when the whole of the country is of the view that he has already had 2 terms as a president, even though as a de facto president. Conversations in the comment section. President Abba Kyari, like it or not, this is what you're going to have to contend with come 20. I don't even know how old the guy is, by the way, because I'm not sure if they're saying it's Buhari's uncle or it's Buhari's peer, but Buhari is already a man in his 80s. So now, how old is now this guy now that is saying he wants to be? I mean, can you imagine that? The average age of Nigeria, because Nigeria has a fairly young population, the average age of Nigeria is around about 19 to 27 thereabout, and then the president that is the person rather that is putting himself forward to be the president is a man in his 80s. So what future can a man in his 80s chart for a population of 27, 28, mid-20s to early 30s population? What sort of a future? Because even for the oldest average Nigerian, this guy is 50 years ahead of them in terms of age. Is 50 years older than them. That is not 50 years more advanced in any understanding. He might well be, but it's 50 years older than the average age of Nigerians. So what sort of a future then can an 80-something-year-old man chart for a 30-year-old person? The age of computer, we're going to the age of artificial intelligence, we're going into a renaissance age of enlightenment, we're going to a narrower world structure, a one world government, a borderless a configuration of the world, a realignment of all of the understandings, and all of these things are technology driven, and you're saying that some 80-something-year-old man is the person that will, I mean, come on, for goodness sake. But then of course it is Nigeria. Come share thoughts about all this in the comment section. If I've not invited you to click on subscribe and the bell button, please do that. Then come share thoughts on all this in the comment section with me. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I'll say peace.